Welcome back to Artifact Cup 28. This is the finals between Ewok and yours truly, Majiir Pack 2. Game 1 is going to be on Firebase Krill. Is that this one? Yes, it is. Ewok is playing the Coalition, as I believe he played in all of the games this tournament, and I am playing as the Knef. So, this map, kind of a neutral map in my opinion. I did pick this map for our first match. I like to use it as sort of a gauge of how players play, because there are a lot of different ways that you can play this map, and so if somebody just decides to AAV rush you, then that gives you a lot of information as compared to if they air rush you and whatnot. So, as I mentioned in some prior casts of games where I've played, I'm going to try and make this a little more educational in terms of doing some analysis of Ewok's gameplay, which is why I'm watching from his perspective, and a little bit less analysis of my gameplay and a little less suspense, since I obviously know how things were played and how things are going to go. So I'm going to try and show where Ewok is strong and where Ewok could improve, and hopefully he and others can use that to improve their play in future games. So, off the bat, Ewok going for a support cruiser early, and starting on kind of a CU-RU mixed build, not going for this additional expansion point. Taking a look at what I'm doing real quick, I've opened up with CUs only, with just the first 4 salvagers here, and then taking the other 2s and going for CUs. So, very CU heavy open, not a tech opening, something that Ewok maybe could have scouted. Notice that Ewok did retire his base runner, which is not unreasonable as a Coalition player, but
new course charted.
Maybe it would have been a little better to keep that at least in enough time to send out a UAV, see what's going on. Because if you do see this, if you see just lots of CU mining, you know to expect sand skimmers. And as it is, it doesn't really look like Ewok is expecting sand skimmers at this point. So, if you've seen me play, if you saw my play versus Hyper earlier, you know what this build is. This is the production cruiser with sand skimmers and blast drones build going forward, and the plan is basically this blast drone is really hard to see in the middle of all these sand skimmers, so we just roll all those in together, and the blast drone takes off 600 of the 900 hit points on these salvagers, bringing them down to 300 hit points, and then the sand skimmers can clear out the rest. In this case, it's actually very advantageous to me that there's only a support cruiser here and that there's not a whole carrier here, because there are no guns from this carrier to defend. So Ewok's going to retreat with these salvagers, and that's the right move, but he probably wants to spread them instead, because they're still clustered, and the blast drones still hit all 6 of those salvagers, and even hit the support cruiser, which I wasn't even planning on. So a little bit of targeting mishap here, but these salvagers should be spreading. Okay to have them be repaired maybe, but they're not doing anything. They got resources that aren't being dropped off. It's very critical when a blast drone comes in that you try and just move your salvagers in all directions. You know, move 2 of them over here, move 2 of them over here, then split the 2 apart. And in this case, I would really move these under the carrier's guns, because the carrier, with turrets here, can actually make pretty short work of the sand skimmers, but as it is, that was actually kind of a misclick on that part, that it's just going for the support cruiser, but that support cruiser, even so, is still probably going to go down.
Alert, LAB down. A sensors post is taking fire. Support cruiser under attack.
So, AAV tech is there for, as you can see, a lot of damage there. AV Tech is here for Ewok, excuse me. I almost said Fukushima because I had been just casting his games. But support cruiser's down, we're on this sort of other expansion here, and the way to deal with this is not so much reactionary and building an AAV to take care of sand skimmers when there are this many sand skimmers out in the field. That's 10. The better move here is to scout it, because if you see the production cruiser coming across the field, if you see that there are just a lot of CUs mining and not very many RUs, you know what's happening. You know you're going to get sand skimmers to the face. You know that you need to power up these guns. You know that you need to have some kind of defense in the form of AAVs. You know you need to spread your salvagers or protect your salvagers. And if you're playing against a Knef player, you should always expect those blast drones to be in the mix as well. So
Bring us to a stop.
scouting would have made this game very different for Ewok, and
Salvager online.
We're clear to
based on the opening build, my guess is that Ewok had a plan in mind for his offensive opening, but didn't have a plan in mind for defensive plays or for scouting plays. And I think that's something that
Hostile forces have
if
recovered an
you
artifact.
see, if you watch the really best players like A-Game or Descara, you'll know that they always scout. Whether it's with sand skimmers or UAVs, they are always trying to figure out what is it that the opponent is doing, because there's some builds where if you scout them, you can just counter them right away. And if you don't scout them,
Alert.
you're just going to be demolished. Kind of like this. Blast drone just came in there. It was hidden. I didn't even see it as I was casting, but I saw the explosion. And those salvagers are all gone. Even with AAV here, there's just not that much that can be done about it because the EVs didn't come out soon enough.
New heading set.
And to be a little more specific,
Hostile forces are
had
attempting
Ewok
to
scouted that with
extract
the
an artifact.
UAV, and it said, okay, great, there's sand skimmers coming, that's when he chooses to not build the support cruiser. He chooses to go rushing for AAV tech.
Rally
He chooses
point
to
set.
build a few
Move to
LAVs
location.
perhaps to try and deal with these or pick off the blast drone. If you just pick off the blast drone, this attack loses a lot of its potency. Also have your carrier covering it with guns, you might lose one salvager instead of 8.
Push up to that point.
There's just an
Salvager
entirely
online.
different game that happens when you do that, and now this is really my game. I do have railguns coming in. There's no railgun tech here for Ewok. I still have blast drones. I still have sand skimmers. So
Be ready for contact.
I would say at this point this game is over, and I believe on cast I was basically saying, yeah, this game is over. It's just a matter of time.
Vehicle is taking fire.
So excuse me, not on cast, on stream, as I was playing this game from my point of view. You just have to scout this kind of a build.
Hostile forces have recovered an artifact.
So this is actually really bad on my part. I lost my blast drone coming in here. I shouldn't be attacking the AAVs. I shouldn't be attacking under all these
Weapon systems
AAVs.
offline.
I realized that at this point and retreated, but
Be advised.
this still isn't
Repair
much of a
systems
defense,
online. Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
because map control is entirely in my hands, and these, rather than even defending, should almost be pushing out, trying to find my production cruiser, trying to find the sand skimmers.
Armor, go ahead.
Fleet logistics.
Hostile on sensor.
It looks like he's doing that over here to control the extraction zone, which, okay, reasonable, because I do have 2 base runners out running, picking up artifacts, and that is a victory condition that you do need to take care of. But the production cruiser is a higher priority, because it can do this.
The sensors post is under fire.
And because without the production cruiser, I have to go back and invest a lot of resources in rebuilding it, get across the map all the
Sensor
way.
post destroyed.
If you can push away the production cruiser, you can do that. So at this point, you realize with the railguns, there's nothing you can do. GG's out.
Mission failed. All ships fall back. Fall back.
So pretty fast game 1. Definitely comes down to scouting. I'm just going to say that 20 times. Scout, scout, scout. Figure out what your opponent's doing. You might notice I didn't scout in that game. I didn't know what Ewok was doing. I didn't even know the support cruiser was where it was, and the carrier was where it was. But I had a build where I was going to get sand skimmers in so fast anyway, and as Knef, my scouting tools are sand skimmers, maybe blast drones. But I had blast drones and sand skimmers, and so really those were the best scouting tools that I was probably going to have available. So game 2, tight end passage. Is, let's see, this one. This is a much bigger map, so less opportunity to run in with blast drones, but even on a big map it's possible, because there are a lot of approaches, and it just takes getting in some sand skimmers with the blast drone, and you lose a lot of resources. So always something to be aware of when you're playing a Knef player. Scout it. The Knef don't have as good scouting tools. As Coalition, you have an excellent scouting tool in the form of the UAV.
Secure us for move. Construction.
So here, are you open? I'm expecting, because I don't actually remember what happens in this game, but I'm expecting this means AAVs pretty early,
Rudder copies.
especially after last game,
Go for carrier.
but we'll see. It's kind of fun not remembering exactly what happens.
Salvager online.
And my open is also sort of RU heavy. So again, if you scout this, that tells you something, because you can see based on the direction that the salvagers approach that I went for an RU open. So even though you're going to see just the same, you know, 2 CUs, 2 RUs, you're going to know that I prioritized the RUs. Additionally, last game I was remote mining on CUs. If you scout this, you can tell whether, you know, what I'm remote mining on, what I started with, and that just gives you a sense of what my priorities are. So here, we're not seeing yet the same support cruiser open, which is good.
Research completed.
And we are seeing the AAV open, so that's very good. It looks like Ewok has also quick dropped a bunch of resources, so definitely going for the fast AAVs.
Light attack vehicle in service.
And so here, again, if there was a UAV from the base runner, which does exist, and even if it didn't exist, you could pop out a UAV right before retiring it. If there was a UAV, you'd see, oh my gosh, he's mining remotely RUs, and yeah, he's got some CUs out there, but like, he clearly wants these RUs. Almost more than the CUs. He must be doing something. It's railgun tech. So these are the sorts of things that you can find out even though you can't see
research completed.
Necessarily, you know, there's no railguns out in the field right now, right? But just by doing a little bit of forensics on what the salvagers are doing, you can immediately tell that it's going to be a more RU heavy open. And when you're playing a Gaussian or Knef player, that's either going to be air or railguns, and most likely railguns, because air requires assault ships, which requires a lot of CUs.
Artifact position authenticated.
Both of us were a little slow on grabbing the artifacts. Ewok's going to be a little bit faster on getting that.
Copy. Displacing now.
If he remembers to pick it up. There we go. Okay, so we both get him about the same time, but we're both a little delayed.
Armor moving out.
I noticed that during the game when I was streaming it, and I was a little embarrassed.
Field logistics module.
Just one of those things that's so easy that sometimes you get wrong. So, LAVs are going to find my base runner. AAVs, oh, these should be going... So, all three of these, in my opinion, should be going right here. Should have scouted this, go right there. As it is... Okay, I guess they're doing that. They're sort of... He's a little indecisive. He had one of these going for the base runner first. Now he's got this one sort of going towards the middle. This base runner is totally going to live, because it's a Knef base runner, and Knef base runners have lots of ways to defend themselves. Knef base runners have both the blast run ability, but also smoke. A series of smoke grenades over 10 seconds, allowing to create a wall of sight-blocking smoke. It's really good. It creates these little 3 bursts, so you can actually use several base runners in a row to create this huge wall. So here, this is critical. This is a heavy railgun. It's being sort of pushed back by LAVs, and there's an AAV here, and it's kind of behind this dune and losing line of sight. It doesn't actually have line of... Well, it does have line of sight on this now. But it's losing it here with the smoke as well. Seeing this, I think Ewok maybe should have retreated with it, although it's okay to maybe sort of run in there as well. But these AAVs have an opportunity to win the game right now. AAVs, as I've said before in many games, can just win games. And right now, they're getting so close. I don't have a good spot from which to fire. I'm actually trying to give up the high ground right now in order to get range on these, because if these just move in... This needs to be tracing here. Move in on the railguns. Kill the railguns at any cost. You do that, even if one of these AAVs survives at just low health, it can go in and destroy these. The smoke is great, sort of forces me to move in. Don't target the production cruiser. Go for the railguns. Take them out. They're so vulnerable right now. And if you take out those railguns, you win the game. As it is, that AAV is not going to be enough. The railguns are going to take that out. These AAVs, if they had been brought in as follow-up and these railguns were down, could have easily taken out all of this. So at the time, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I almost lost the game right there. As soon as I got that, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I must have won the game now, because, like, you know, I just defeated the AAV attack, right? Another artifact goes in that's going to go down. These AAVs don't need to be there. Those should have been as a follow-up. And I think scouting would have said, okay, you know, I know he's going to build railguns because I scouted his resourcing, or at least I think he's going to. If Ewok had then brought the 3 railguns in together on this top arc, you know, so sort of
Salvager
over through here,
online.
darting
Research
across
completed.
this crest to avoid any railguns that I might have built,
moving up.
and then engage the railguns at close range, this game would have gone in a completely different direction
Salvager
for him
online.
Identified. Advance and
from this
evaluate.
point forward. So now it's more of a stalemate where Ewok has
Carrier copy.
railgun tech now, so that's good,
operational.
building some railguns.
copies.
I have railguns in superior numbers, so at least right away things are looking a bit better for me. The combat stats are probably looking
Light attack vehicle online.
a bit better for me. Yep. Otherwise, it's a relatively even game.
Fleet logistics module out.
But now a second production cruiser out. If you notice, he would scout that and see, okay, Majiir's got refinery mode,
Location marked.
which is a more expensive investment.
Railgun
So
online.
clearly going to have a strong economy coming forward. So there's a lot of this stuff where when you
Copy.
scout, you got to pay
Railgun
attention to what's
responding.
going on and see, okay, what capabilities does my opponent have right now? And if you see railguns, if you see refinery mode, you know, oh man, I've got to either pressure that economy hard, or I've got to come up with some counter to the
Railgun
railguns other than just,
operational.
Ready.
so
Ready.
LEVs here, that's good.
Prep for mobilization.
Light attack vehicle in
These are
service.
actually the right
Energy
elements.
signature confirmed. An
They're not
artifact
necessarily in the
has
right
been
position,
discovered. Light
but
attack
they're the
vehicle
right tools to
enhancements
fight
online.
this.
Be advised, team en route to recover the artifact.
Unidentified contact. Designate as hostile.
Good scouting here
Hostile
from
light
Ewok
attack
actually to see
vehicle
this.
detected. Move order confirmed.
And this and this.
Green
These
line
two scouts are
confirmed.
just sort of flirting. So this is decent.
Light attack vehicle online.
On our way. Light attack vehicle is under
Less
fire.
scouting over here, but that can be kind of
Be
forgiven.
advised. Hostile carrier visually authenticated. We've got hostile on sensor. Coordinates confirmed visual.
I think that LAV actually went down because I
Alert.
landed a missile
LAV
hit on it,
down.
which I think we see here.
Fleet capacity deployable out.
Let's move. Coordinates confirmed. We're cleared to push up. On our way.
Let's just take a look at positioning. Assault rails here, which won't do a whole lot.
Railgun enhancements online.
Ready.
Railguns here, which are in a decent
Recovered.
position,
Authentication confirmed.
but
Armor
not
vehicle
close
taking
enough.
effective fire.
And there's also no real scouting on my
Coordinates
railguns.
Confirmed. Get us underway. Green line confirmed. Green line confirmed. Push through.
This is a good setup with the railguns with high ground. Going to do a lot of damage over here to the assaults. Those are going to be forced to retreat.
Keep the speed up. Alert. Light attack.
But these
vehicle
aren't really
destroyed.
quite close enough to
Let's
continue
move.
doing damage up here, and so those
Hostile
assaults are going to
railguns
clear up
opened up.
the LAVs. Meanwhile, these railguns doing incredible damage to the AAVs. You don't want to sit in this valley. If you've played a game like Company of Heroes or Dawn of War, consider this valley to be negative cover. Everything around it has the high ground on you. You do not want to sit in there ever. You want to be crossing this when you have cover. This is a deadly area. I say that as, of course, my units are moving into it, but I also have cover from across
Light
it.
attack
So
vehicle online.
AAVs had no business sitting in there,
Light
that's for
attack
sure.
vehicle in service.
Hostile light attack vehicle visually authenticated. Coordinates confirmed. Charge weapons. Let's move.
And so now I don't actually have all that much advice for
Light
Ewok
attack
other
vehicle
than
online.
scout this
Enemy
earlier
contacts
so
on the
that
board.
you win the early
Railgun
game,
is
because
taking
now
effective fire.
you're losing the railgun war, and
Moving
the
into
LAVs
sight.
fighting the assault
Hostile
railguns is
strike
not going to
craft
work too
down.
well.
Hostile forces are
These are not enough
attempting to
railguns
extract
to
our
fight the number of
Coordinates
railguns that
confirmed.
I have out in the field.
Move order confirmed. Alert.
This is
LAV
actually kind of
down.
cool. I've got
We gotta go.
range calibration on these, which
Alert.
aren't really doing anything right now because they can't see, but you can see the sort of
Move
reddish
order
glow on
confirmed.
them.
Alert. Support trap has been engaged. Enemy railgun firing on friendly. Light attack vehicle is under fire. Be advised. Enemy support vehicle authenticated. Reading.
These LAVs going to do some decent damage if they can get in on top
Construction
of the
resources
heavies.
exhausted.
Looks like they're
Moving
flirting
again.
around for
Alert.
now.
Attack vehicle destroyed.
Might be taken up by these assaults. So, again, you gotta kind of cluster these together. Maybe not again. I don't know if I mentioned that. Cluster your LAVs together.
Ready. Ready.
It's bad to cluster if you're facing, say, assault ships or assault cruisers. But if you're facing railguns, you want to cluster them up so that they don't get picked off one by one, and so that you can just kind of swing around and hit heavies like this.
Alert. LAV down.
As it is, the assaults were doing too good a job there. Now it's really critical mass time. You either need to build like 8 railguns and hold a hill with them, or do something completely different.
Carrier here.
Artillery cruisers are coming out, so that's something completely different. Valid choice if you can protect it. So if you can hold the artillery cruiser, say, behind this dune or behind this dune and somehow prevent anything from getting in on top of it, that can be really powerful. As it is, though, Ewok doesn't really have the map control to be able to do that. If he had the artillery cruiser out right now, this would be very vulnerable.
Green line confirmed.
Carrier coming out, which might be... That might be the plan, is use the carrier to defend the artillery cruiser.
Alert. Carrier is taking fire.
However, a carrier is not very good at defending against railguns.
Artillery cruiser capabilities are online.
En route. Coordinates confirmed. Arm the cannons. Armored vehicle is taking fire.
These should probably be higher up and further back. They're going to be outranged by the Knef railguns. These are really very long range, especially with the range calibration going on.
Armored vehicle lost. Position.
Be advised. Team en route to
A lot of fighting going on, trying to capture it all.
Alert. Railgun lost. Keep it steady. Monitor for warning. Carrier hull passing 75%.
Weapon range systems currently active.
Get out here. Move. Location mark.
Armored assault operational.
I don't know what these are for.
Armor ready.
They're immediately retreating.
Alert.
AEVs aren't going to do anything unless they can get here.
New heading set.
At this point in the game, there's just no reason to have
Vehicle has lost
AEVs.
possession of an artifact.
Maybe for smoke,
Combat alert. Support.
but I would really prioritize railguns. I'd prioritize maybe LAVs to maneuver around the railguns. Even though there are assault railguns on the field, you can use them to kind of not directly engage, but swing around and force the railgun groups to move back.
Weapon range systems offline. Carrier
This is
repair
not a good
systems are
point
unavailable.
at which to be having an artillery cruiser come
Carrier
out.
copy.
Salvager online.
These railguns have the high ground up here and clear line of sight in here.
To proceed. Move.
Artillery cruiser operational.
Systems online.
Now, I probably don't
Rally
see
point.
this yet,
Secure location marked.
Hostiles designated.
but it's going to become apparent very soon because of the damage that's coming in.
Enemy railgun firing on friendly.
So we're going to kind of track artillery cruiser damage versus damage dealt to the artillery cruiser here. So this went down a little bit. We see some explosions here missing.
Armored vehicle has been
One railgun goes down.
Green line confirmed.
Railgun online.
Be ready to artillery cruiser in contact. Provide fire.
Oh, that's some pretty good damage in there. Some sandskimmers go down. So, like, some sandskimmers and
Energy signature confirmed.
a railgun for an artillery cruiser. And now there's just a direct engagement here. So, it doesn't really pay off unless you can defend it. These are fairly disposable at this point because there are so many coming across the field in so many different places. And this, again, this is another, like, Death Valley right here. Like, you can't be in this valley with an expensive unit. You want to be behind one of these dunes.
Hostile strike craft down.
And railguns also don't really belong down here because everything they're fighting has a high ground advantage.
Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
These are just waiting here to be able to pop over and do some damage. This is how you use railguns. I know I'm casting my own game, so it's a little egotistical to say it, but it really is. You have them behind a dune. This unit can retreat if it needs to, if it wants to, but it can also pop over and have this wide high ground view. This is...
Railgun operational.
This, on the other hand, is you know, obviously the carrier's there, and so that's where units are going to get built, but that unit's dead as soon as it comes out.
Get us moving. Be advised. Enemy support
And so is this
vehicle
artillery cruiser,
authenticated.
probably.
Be advised. Hostile carrier detected.
If it can get over that dune, then maybe it could do some more damage.
Be advised. Carrier repair systems online.
Artillery cruiser under attack. Units respond. Hostile railgun.
And it tries to barrage the carrier, which isn't going to do much good. Barraging these units does more, but it does go down.
Artillery cruiser destroyed.
And just as an aside, this game is sort of on track to be won by artifacts. Here's 2 base runners.
Artifact position authenticated.
And the score is 3-2 on artifacts. no artifacts to be spoken
Arm
of
the cannons
for
and push
Ewok,
up.
so
Overdrive, punch it!
now it's a carrier battle
Railgun
and a rail
online.
battle.
Alert, salvager lost. Warning, carrier hull is at half.
And as you can see, the
Secure
rails are
artifacts
just
or sail your people. Hostile forces have
overwhelming.
recovered an artifact.
We got a railgun
So,
under fire. Moving into escort
what can I say for
strike
Ewok
path,
on this one?
taking effective drive.
As a summary, place
Alert,
units
light
behind
attack vehicle
hills
destroyed.
and have them positioned sort of on top of them behind hills so that you can use them. Don't position
Warning,
expensive units. Don't even build them if
carrier
you're in
below
a basin
25% integrity.
that's vulnerable. Don't engage with a small number of units. Try and achieve a critical mass, even if it means running away and losing some points. You know, so for example, if you are here and you can't build units or a critical mass, just retreat from this point. Go back here, use this hill, and just walk up this side. If I ever pop over here, then you just pop over here, and I can't shoot you, right? If I'm like walking up on, you know, if you're walking up on this side and then I pop over here, then you just kind of pop back over on this side. Keep walking up until you get the high ground there. Use closer range units to settle that dispute. If you have a carrier, that's a nice close range unit to settle that dispute. If you have AAVs, those are nice close range units for that. LEVs are nice for that. Any kind of artillery from behind is nice for that. Always try to seek to control the high ground and also to control options, right? So if you can choose to, as happened over here, if you can choose to be behind this hill and out of the fight and then just pop over and be in the fight for a while, then pop back over if you're getting scared, that's really valuable. That's way more valuable than having even just more units down here, because down here you can't run away. There's absolutely nowhere you can go if you're down there. You just, anything in here in range of railguns is dead. So, interesting game. I will point out again, Ewok nearly won this game very early with AAVs here, and just slight miscalculation with bringing one of the AAVs in here too early instead of waiting for all three to come up over here. If all three had come up here and then just targeted the railguns exclusively rather than the production cruiser, that would have been game over in Ewok's favor. So, certainly could have been a close one early on. Anyway, enough analysis on that game. Game 3 is on Dune Sea. This will be the second Dune Sea game that I've played in this tournament, and I'm starting to really like it. Dune Sea, I think Trent pointed out, is sort of a one-trick pony, but I think he said that because he lost. So we're gonna watch this one. I think it'll be fun. So if you recall from my game with Hyper, I said Dune Sea, all that matters is the high ground, control the high ground. It's not exactly true. Air can definitely play a role in Dune Sea. Side attacks and sneak attacks and controlling all the resources and things like that can definitely play a role.
All ships.
But
Multiple artifact signals
in
have
many
been
games,
detected
all that
in
matters
target
is like this patch of hill. And it matters for a few reasons. One, it's got high ground advantage over the entire map. It's got great visibility over the entire map. You can descend
Salvager
to sort of like
online.
this crest here and control this entire approach here.
Position mark, take us out.
But you can also kind of approach up this like winding crest and hop across.
Salvager
Sorry, I
online.
just hit the zoom buttons there in the wrong way. And kind of hop across this winding terrain. So it's a little hard to see in the map view. But in any case, this map, resources. This is typically the way you want to do it.
Proceed to
Set your
rally
carrier
point. Secure
sideways like
location
this.
marked. Research completed.
Collect from both resource zones. It's just, this is a 2v2 map, 4-player map, so you get 2 starting spawns here. You want to take advantage of that. Over here, this is,
New heading.
you know, great, we're taking advantage of it, but you want to be doing exactly what Ewok is about to be doing, which is arranging your carrier so that you can hit both zones. It might make sense to do what he's doing and do it more slowly so
Bring
that
us to
you
a stop.
have
Send orders.
close range mining on these. If you're not sure how to do this, by the way, if you press V,
Go for carrier.
I guess I can't do it while I'm in replay mode, but if you press V and then
Light attack
hold down on the
vehicle
ground
in
and
service.
drag in the
Weapon
direction
systems
that you
online.
want to face, that's a
Carrier
way to
copy.
give a move order with orientation.
Light attack vehicle online.
So very useful when maneuvering a carrier, also useful for maneuvering railgun groups. So right away,
Go
Light
carrier.
attack vehicle in
AAV
service.
tech is the choice for
Research
Ewok. So he's
completed.
going for early AAVs again. Again, scouting. Like,
Light
you can't
attack
tell much
vehicle
from looking at
online.
this because all you're going to see is a lot of resources. But immediately you can tell the production cruiser's not there. Where's the production cruiser? You might run into this. You might see it. You might see, oh my gosh, there's a base runner with blast drones. If you don't scout this, you have no idea what's coming. You don't know if I'm going for early railguns. You don't know if I'm going blast drones. You don't know if I'm going assault ships. Nothing. So now here finally, yeah, okay, some LAVs are coming out, scouting this. They see the production
Artifact
cruiser.
position locked in.
They see blast drones. They
Securing.
see sand
Hostile
skimmers.
forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
Armor online.
This
Let's move.
AAV,
We're up and running.
this is out early.
Carrier here.
This is definitely a good AAV rush.
Carrier
I would
personnel
send
facilities
these
upgraded.
over here. This carrier is so vulnerable to AAVs. There are so many salvagers here that could be killed by AAVs. There's no
Rally
production
point
cruiser
set.
back there. There's
Move
nothing
to
that can produce
location.
railguns. There's a blast drone there. That's interesting. It's probably going to die to an LAV. This is a good scout, but these...
Armored assault operational.
You can always build more AAVs to defend with back home.
Op ready.
You can't always just build more AAVs and have them instantly show up at the enemy base. The first two AAVs, in my opinion, should have gone to my base to take out salvagers as just sort of an FU, yeah, you can destroy my resources, but I'll destroy yours harder. Instead, there are 3 AAVs here that are going to try and kill faster units, and as you can see, this AAV can't even shoot. It's hiding behind this hill.
Sensors post is under
And there's another blast drone attack. So 6 salvagers are probably going to go down. Maybe that's 7 salvagers even.
fire. Alert.
No, that's
Salvager
6.
destroyed.
Push
through.
Maybe they won't all go down.
Alert.
They'll be
Light attack
damaged.
vehicle
They'll be pretty bad. These AAVs,
Armor, go ahead.
Research completed.
doing some damage to the production cruiser, doing some damage to the sand skimmers. It's definitely a thorn in my side for this attack, but I'm still getting work done. 4 salvagers have gone
Salvager
down.
copies.
And another 2 are damaged,
Hostile
and there's no
forces have
repair beams
recovered an
here.
artifact.
And I've got an
Heading
artifact.
set.
If 2 AAVs had been up fighting here, I mean, one of them
Salvager
that was over
online.
here, this one didn't do
Go
anything.
for armor. Advance
It just sort of cleaned up a mess that the carrier could clean up
down.
on its own. These 2 are barely doing anything. They're damaging a production cruiser.
Be ready for
But the
contact.
production cruiser is still producing, and these are catching up. If these were over at home base,
Move out.
totally different story. This one, I don't think that one's done a single thing all game.
Alert. Salvager lost. Sound carrier alert. All section officers to remain in station. Display. Time to clear
Another
out.
salvager went down
Salvager
there
has been engaged.
that we heard.
Proceed to
Not sure
rally
if this
point.
one will ever go
Secure
down,
location
but
marked.
Red
enough
alert.
damage has been done
Command
already. Let's
carrier
put it that way.
taking
So,
fire.
also of note, this production cruiser almost dead,
On our way. We've detected something. Can you confirm visual?
but these are never been in range. This one sort of paused for a second, and here's a railgun.
Armor vehicle taking effective fire. Enemy railgun firing on
These
friendly.
AAVs,
Green
they
light
scared me a lot with this production cruiser, but it doesn't matter anymore. These aren't in range. The railgun's in range. That was the right decision, but the better decision was 2 or 3 AVs over here. I'm only just now getting another production cruiser out, so this wouldn't have been there nearly in time. That would have all been dead.
moving out.
This was a great drive-by
Hostile forces
sort
are
of...
attempting to extract an
Yeah, I
artifact.
almost lost my production cruiser, but even if I had, I wouldn't care, because here's another one. Now I have 2 production cruisers.
Railgun
You've got AAVs.
online.
This is a map with high ground. You need railguns. So again, just like in a game with
Railgun
Hyper,
operational.
this ground is going to become critical. And
Moving.
also note that this production cruiser is pretty much already repaired.
Light attack vehicle in service.
Deploy smoke.
So these AAVs now can no longer make a raid on my resources.
Hostile light
They
attack vehicle
are on the
detected.
low ground against railguns, even if they were on the high ground, there's railguns.
Get us underway. Armored vehicle is taking fire.
Railguns are out now for Hyper.
Armored
Excuse me,
vehicle
for
has been
Ewok,
destroyed.
not Hyper.
Rally point set. Move to location.
I apologize for that. And these are perched up on nice
Range
positions,
online.
right? They can hide behind the hill when they want to. But don't mistake this for high ground, because all that matters is not that there's a downward slope. What matters is that this has to point up. to get there. And so these still have the high ground advantage against that unit.
Hostile forces have recovered an artifact.
We got something on the horizon. Waiting for eyes on to authenticate. Green line confirmed. Unknown inbound. Designating.
So when you're positioning on sort of a lower ground like this, don't go for the absolute highest point. Go for the point where you can just back behind the behind cover as well as you can. Treat it as cover, not as high ground. In this case, it's kind of working too well as cover.
New heading set.
Armored assault online. Fleet capacity deployable out.
And at this point,
Resources exhausted.
staying down here is a big mistake,
All systems
in
green.
my opinion. In my opinion, if you have the low ground on this map,
Push up to that point.
you need to work on a side approach. You need to go around. You need to be sending, so this is the right idea. Maybe a little late, but the right idea. These should be moving around as well. Get down over here. Pull these units down the hill. Bait with a base runner maybe on an artifact and force me to chase. Fighting like this, you'll lose every single time because these heavy railguns up here can just shoot down with impunity. They don't have to worry about it. These guys, these are a distraction at this point. This is just a, yeah, it might hurt some resources, but they aren't the main event. This is the main event here. Railguns on top of a hill, even if it's just these are not doing anything useful.
Armored assault operational.
These are doing something kind of useful. They are going to be destroyed by the assault railguns. You don't want to approach assault railguns without a lot of LAVs. You need a huge mass of them to really do much against assault railguns.
Hostile strike craft down.
And again, high ground on these.
Alert, light attack vehicle destroyed. On our way.
Shooting up against assault railguns, especially not that good. So,
Full speed.
if Ewok had maybe grabbed this artifact and started pulling it away,
Salvager online.
Put rounds on anything that
with
moves
some like
hostile
LAVs
offense.
defending in here, that might have been enough to scare away my railguns, do some real damage. At this point, this might be looking good for Ewok
Green line
with the
confirmed.
railguns,
Go for ranged.
but I still have the high ground. And until this high ground is broken, you can't really declare victory.
LAV down. I got a visual mark. Be advised.
There are
Support vehicle
two, let's see,
authenticated. Armored vehicle is taking fire.
probably heavy rails. Yep, heavy rails producing.
New heading set. We got a railgun under fire. Alert, railgun.
This is actually dangerously close for me,
Enemy railgun
but the heavy
firing
railguns
on
don't
friendly.
care.
Keep eyes on
There's so much terrain, and the scan skimmers can kind of clear up the railguns that,
Armored vehicle
again,
has been destroyed.
all that matters is you have this high ground. This AV is now dead.
Receiving.
It doesn't matter what it does
Hostile
next.
light attack
It's
vehicle visually authenticated.
just going to die to these railguns.
Strike craft destroyed.
So, back home. Not enough resourcing here. That was probably one of my sand skimmer armies that did that. But
All systems green.
Light attack vehicle online. Artifact.
But there was an
position
army of
authenticated.
AAVs and railguns here, and approaching up the side of that hill just doesn't work. If those had been over here, if AAVs had been in here, oh gosh, imagine that. AAVs in my resourcing would have been a really bad thing for me. I would have had to send railguns back over this hill, and then that's when you take the high ground. Or that's when you hit them with railguns from, like, you know, maybe over here, right? You get this little high perch and shoot across as the railguns are coming down in here.
Identified
Lots of options.
sweep.
Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
At this point, it's probably
Proceed to
GG,
rally point. Secure
just because of the
location marked.
artifacts.
Green line confirmed.
And
order confirmed.
I think we might be chatting about the
Railgun
game at this point.
operational.
Coordinates confirmed.
Maybe there's another fight before us.
Salvager online.
But as you can see, I've got enough confidence that I'm just going to start rolling down the hill. Keeping the production cruisers up on the high ground, because if you can have railguns on the high ground, even just one or two can kill a vastly superior force.
Light attack vehicle in service.
Enemy contacts on the board. Underway.
Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
New heading set. Prepare to move. Ready with point defense. Coordinates confirmed.
Armored
Again, this
assault
rail,
online.
no business being down there. Railguns are not going to do anything here. They're just going to die.
Strike craft taking effective fire. Armor is en route. Alert.
AVs even are just going to die if they approach directly.
Armored vehicle lost.
It's just too many heavy railguns.
Alert, railgun lost. Our carrier has
And there's the
been
GG.
overwhelmed. She's lost.
So, if you haven't played
Mission
Dune Sea a
failed.
lot,
All ships
it
fall
can
back.
be
Fall back.
a little surprising to see just how good the high ground is, but recognize the high ground is valuable and don't try and win it using the same methods that were used to take the high ground, right? Once railguns are up there, you gotta go around. You've got to draw railguns out. You've got to try things like air or artillery or anything that can reach up without being reached down upon, anything that can go over terrain, anything that can force the railguns to want to move off. As Hyper found out, using a carrier works very well. He ran his Gaussian carrier powered up right up onto the high ground and forced me off of it. His only mistake was running back off of the high ground. Well, he had that, he had that won and secured, and moving up a production cruiser on top of that would have helped very much as well. So overall, good games. That does conclude the Artifact Cup. I'm going to show the bracket here as it stood at the end of the cup here. So just to recap, Hyper versus JHS didn't really happen. JHS couldn't show up, so the 1-0 is just a sort of symbolic no-show sort of thing. Similarly, Raving Loon versus Fukushima, they did get one game in, which Fukushima won, but Raving Loon had to go and couldn't play game 2, or game 3 for that matter. Megaruth versus Ewok was probably the game of the or the set of the cup. I enjoyed watching that. There was definitely a lot of interesting action there, some aggressive play on both sides in different ways. Megaruth being much more aggressive with his carrier. Definitely both players had some fairly basic mistakes that I think just in the heat of the action, there were things that they normally knew to do that they had missed. Ewok versus Fukushima, honestly, this game was really boring. You guys both got to play like a little more aggressively for entertainment value. Ewok did take those, I think, with just a calmer, more collected approach, and also a little bit more aggression than Fukushima showed. But both players definitely had a lot of potential to do well there. Me versus Hyper was kind of a lot of Knef shenanigans with blast drones, and similar with me versus Ewok. But did want to point out just two plays again. Ewok with the AAVs in Titan Passage, almost taking out my railguns and my resources with them, and Hyper with the carrier rush onto Dune Sea. I think that was really play of the game, play of the whole cup, was rushing up that hill with that carrier. I really liked that. I'm going to learn from that, so hope everybody else did as well. Thank you for watching. I'm going to be uploading all of these right now, so some of them might be uploaded sooner than others. Hopefully you watch them in order, roughly speaking, and get a feel for the whole cup. And I might be doing some streams later, might be doing some more cups, but no promises. Let me know if there's anything in particular you would like to see. Thank you again.